أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدي وحبيبي ونور قلبي وثمرة فؤادي أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهاديين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي، صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا نبي الله، صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين. فاز من اعتصم بكم وأمنا من لجأ إليكم. سادتي يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات قال الله العلي العظيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض، منها 4 حرم، ذلك الدين القيم، فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم، وقاتلوا المشركين كافة كما يقاتلونكم كافة، واعلموا أن الله مع المتقين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صل على محمد وآل محمد. First, I would like to offer my condolences to the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, for the sad occasion of the martyrdom of Al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi afdalu salatu wassalam. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to commemorate these 2 months of grieving moment, grieving time of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us also to take some lessons from this Muharram, inshallah. Tonight, as you know, our topic is about how to receive this holy month of Muharram and Safar. As a follower of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, how should we receive this month? How should we prepare for it? But before I proceed, I just want to share with you this ayah that we just mentioned. The ayah is mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah 36, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the month in the year. Allah stated, إِنَّ عِدَّةَ الشُّهُورَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ إِثْنَا عَشَرَ شَهْرًا. The month to Allah, or the month in the sight of Allah, are 12 months. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when I created the month, I created them to be 12. And there is one lesson to learn. Why 12, Ya Rabbal Alameen? Ya Allah, you could make it 4, you could make it 3. Why did he make it 12? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to understand, He doesn't create or make things unless there is a wisdom behind it. And I just want to share with you some of the light before we go about the importance of 12 in Islam. Because sometimes some people, we just think Allah sent 12 imams. 12 imams, no big deal. But there is a big deal behind it. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't choose things randomly. No. But one thing we have to understand, Allah stated in the Quran, He said, وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ وَيَخْتَارُ. They say, your Lord, Allah, He creates and He chooses. He creates everything. But in everything that He creates, He chooses the best of everything that He creates. Now let me take you upper. Allah created angels. And when you look at the angels, there are so many angels Allah created. Right? When they ask Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam, what is the number of the angels compared to us? Imam said, the number of the angel compared to you is like the number of the sand on the earth. Meaning, the number of the angels are uncountable. You cannot count them. There's so many Allah created, right? But even though they are as many as they are, Allah said, I chose some of them, right? Some of them you know, and some of them, let me share with Imam Ali mentioned in Nahj al-Balagha. There is a chapter Imam Ali specified just for angels, right? One of those he mentioned, he said, Minhum, among the angels that Allah created, and He chose, one of them is called Jabra'il, right? Jabra'il, and his name is Aminul Wahi, the trustworthy. He is the only one Allah chose, and his job is to take wahi to the Prophet. That is his job, right? That's number one. Number two, his other job is, he is the leader among all the angels. No angel can move from one station to another unless Jabra'il gave him the permission of that. In other words, if you want to know the position of Jabra'il among the angels, his position is like the position of Rasulullah among humans. That's Jabra'il, right? After Jabra'il, there's another angel too. What is this? The angel is called Munkar wa Nakir. Right? Munkar wa Nakir are the angels of the grave. Right? You can call them TSA of that wall. You can't cross that unless they check you, right? When you want to go and you want to board on the flight, the TSA, they have to check you. Make sure that you don't have anything bad, then they let you in. Now in that wall, Allah specified TCA there too. When you arrive, right? Allahu Akbar, they say we have to watch what did you bring. And there are 4 of them. And their name changes depending on you and I. If you are a good person, they're called Bashir wa Mubashir. If you and I, we are bad people, they call Munkar wa Nakir. Right? Now when you come there, their job is just to make sure that they question you. That's it. That's their job. They don't punish, they don't do anything. Their job is to question. Now after they finish, their job is over. Now they hand it to somebody else. Right? Who's going to punish? Like for example, TCA, when they see something wrong, they hand it to the police. That's what their job. Now in that world, that's what they do. That is angel number 2. Angel number 3, that's called Mikael. Alright? And he's the weatherman. You know, when the temperature goes high, it's too hot, that's Mikael. When the temperature go down, he's in charge. Right? When it's summer, winter, he is the one Allah put him in charge, and he is the controller of all of that. That is number 3. Number 4, another angels they call Hafadha. There are 2. One of them in front, one of them is back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَحْفَظُونَهُ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. They are just to protect you and I. Allahu Akbar. See how much Allah loves you and I? You have the eye, you have the ears, you have the mind. But with all of that, Allah specified 2 angels, one in front, one at back, and they all are there to protect you and I. They are called in the Quran Hafadha. Another angel, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them in the Quran also, and that one is the one that nobody wants to hear his name. And that is what? Malak al-Maut, the angel of death. We think he's the bad guy because he takes the life. Right? That angel, his job is to take the life, and he is in charge, and behind him there are millions and millions of angels, and he divided them into 2. Some angels, he divided them, they take only the life of mu'mineen. That's it. And the others, he also organized them, they take the life of only kafirs. Right? And Quran mentioned them. They call an-nazi'at and nashitat. An-nazi'at are the one who takes the life of the bad people, and the nashitat are the one who take the life of the mu'mineen. That is another angel. Now you go to that, then there is another angels also. They call Raqib wa Atid. Alright? Raqib is the one who writes the good deed, and Atid is the one who writes the bad deeds. And then you go down the list. Now all of those angels, Allah chose these ones, and then Allah made some of them are better than the others. That is among the angels. Now you come among humans, among everything Allah created, Allah chooses some are better than the others. But that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's custom. In everything He creates, He chooses the best. Now, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created the numbers too. Every number you find, Allah created it. But Allah chose some numbers are better than the other numbers. One of those numbers is number 12. Number 12 is a chosen number. Number 1, you go to the Quran. Quran talks about Bani Israel. How many tribes Allah made them? 12. Allah, why not 13? Why not 9? Because there is a wisdom behind the number 12. Number 2, another one in the Quran Allah mentioned. He says that the disciples of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. How many were there? Ya Allah, why not 10? Why not 12? Why not more than 12? Why not the number 12? That is number 2. Number 3, the ayah we just mentioned. Allah said, I created in a year, they have to be 12 months. Why not 13? Why not 7? Ya Rabbal Al. Why does it have to be 12? Ya Rabb? Because number 12 is a chosen number in Islam. Another number is the number of our Imams. Allah chose them to be 12 in numbers as well. So Allah chose these numbers, and one of the chosen things Allah chose as well. He chooses 12 out of the year to be that these are the months that have to go throughout the year. Right? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't stop. He said out of those 12, they're all great. But minha arba'atun hurum. Allah said, I choose 4 of them. And another comes about the importance of 4. Ya Allah, why 4? There are 12, but you chose only 4. Why 4? Because number 4 also is another important number in Islam. Because go to Salat that we perform 5 daily prayers. We have Dhuhr, how many rak'ah we perform? 4 rak'ah. We have Asr, how many rak'ah? 4 rak'ah. We have Isha, how many rak'ah? 4 rak'ah. 5 daily prayers, but 3 of them we have to perform 4 rak'ah. Why 4, Ya Rabbal Alameen? Because 4 is a special number in Islam. Another importance, you go to the Quran, Allah talks about the importance of 4. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah talks about Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam. Prophet Ibrahim, one time he went to a sea, and as he was standing there looking at the beautiful ocean that Allah created, and he saw one dead animal. Half of the animal is in the sea and the other half is on the land. And he saw that the animals were having buffet on that dead animal. They were just eating. Ibrahim al-Khalil was sitting thinking. What was he thinking? Qiyamah. Ya Allah, this one animal who is dead, now you have bunch of animals, they are eating one animal. That the dead animal has been distributed to the stomach of all these animals. Ya Allah, Yawm al-Qiyamah, how are you going to bring this dead animal back to life? Then he immediately turns to Allah. Rabbi arini kayfa tuhil mawta. Ya Allah, show me how you bring the dead back to life. Then Allah asked him a question. Awalam tu'min? Don't you believe that I can do that, Ya Ibrahim? Ibrahim said, Bala ya Rabb, I do believe you can. Walakin liyatma'inna qalbi. I want the comfort of my heart. I want to see it. Allah said, Ya Ibrahim, no problem. We will show you how we'll bring the dead back to life. However, Ya Ibrahim, go and find birds. Ya Allah, how many birds? Oh, 4. Ya Allah, why not 7? Why not 10? Why 4 in particular? It's a arba'atan min at-tayr fasurhunna ilayk. Go find 4 birds and bring all of them, and each bird is representing different quality. And he brought the 4, and Allah showed him how to bring dead back to life. But Allah mentioned to him to bring 4 birds. Why? Because number 4 is one of the important numbers in Islam. That is number 2. So that's why Allah said, Minha arba'atun hurum. Allah said, out of the 12th month, I chose 4. And those 4 are the sacred month. And what are the 4? In Arabic, they say 3 of them are together, and they call them Ashhurus Sard in Arabic. Then the 4th one is called Ash-Shahrul Fard. As-Sard meaning the month that are connected together. And one of them is Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hajj, and Muharram. And then the 4th one is Rajab. Right? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Fi kitabillah. We chose this month, not just like that. We chose it in our book. Which book? Here in Tafsir they say, in Lawh al-Mahfuz. From the one that Allah created the month, Allah wrote that I want 4 of them to be sacred month. That's tafsir number 1. Some scholars, they say Kitab Allah, it means Al-Quran. Allah said in the Quran we chose that these 4 months to be sacred months. But some scholars say no, it's not just in the Quran, because there is another point coming which indicate that no, the Fi Kitabillah is about all the books that came before Quran. They all have the month, the 4 months to be sacred month. Because what did I says? It said Fi Kitabillah Yawma khalaqa as-samawati wal-ard. The day that Allah created the heavens and the earth, Allah said we wrote and chose that these 4 months are sacred months. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْأَيَّمِ. This is a straight religion that Allah chose. Now here some Mufassirin, they said, Allah started to honor these 4 months in Islam, which is Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hajj and Muharram and Rajab. They started to honor these 4 months from the time of Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam. Prophet Ibrahim, from that time, whenever Muharram comes, people honor and they respect Muharram. Whenever Dhul Qa'dah comes, they honor and they respect it. Whenever Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hajj and Rajab, they all come, they all respect those months. Because even in the book of Ibrahim, it's mentioned that these 4 months are sacred months. That's why Allah said, Fi kitabillah, in all the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Allah said, in that month, do not do dhulm to yourself. Here, I want to enter into how should we receive Muharram. From here, I just want your attention. We all know, brothers and sisters, when Ramadan comes, how do we receive Ramadan? Number 1, we all know in our mind that Ramadan is the month where Allah doesn't want us to sin. People, the normal activities that we do, what do? We stop in the month of Ramadan. Why? Because in the month of Ramadan, we believe that shaitan is blocked, is locked, right? So we are encouraged not to sin. So things we normally do, we stop. You think that is in the holy month of Ramadan? Or Muharram is the same thing too. Muharram is also one of the holy month that you supposed to stop sin in that month as well. So one of the things we have to understand, when Muharram is coming, the way that we think in Ramadan, I shouldn't sin, I should watch everything that I do, and Muharram also is the same thing, because Muharram is a holy month as the Ramadan is a holy month as well. That is one of the things we need to understand, brothers and sisters. When Ramadan is coming, I have to start preparing myself. Because a lot of us, we think Ramadan is the month of ibadah, is the month of fasting, so I need to observe myself. But in Ramadan, no, in Muharram, all I need to come to do is to come and do ma'tam, and that's it. No, that's not the case. Muharram also is a holy month as Ramadan. The way you have to fear Allah in the month of Ramadan, it's supposed to be the same way also in the month of Muharram as well. That is number one. Number two, in the month of Ramadan, what do? We are always encouraged to watch our mouth. What do I say in the month of Ramadan? Right? Because certain things I say and my fasting is void. In the month of Muharram, you have to observe your mouth as well. Unfortunately, sometimes in the month of Ramadan, we use foul language. Ramadan is a holy month and Muharram is a holy month. The way you are not supposed to use foul language in the month of Ramadan, you are not supposed also to use bad language in the month of Muharram as well. Why? Because they both are sacred months in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in the month of Ramadan, we always concern about what we say. We don't want to backbite. We don't want to say bad things. In the month of Muharram, one have to be careful too, brothers and sisters. We have to make sure that when the Muharram comes, I watch what I say. Why? Because listen careful. You know, in Islam, we call Ramadan Shahrul Allah. We call Rajab Shahrul Ar-Rasul. Now in the hadith, they call Muharram and Safar Shahrul Hussein alayhi salam. That the holy month of Muharram, the way that Ramadan is for Allah, and the month of Muharram is also considered the month of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The way Rajab is holy because it's ascribed to Rasulullah. Ramadan is holy because it's ascribed to Allah. The month of Muharram and Safar is ascribed to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So we have to observe in this month also to be careful what we do, brothers and sisters. The same as we do in the month of Muharram, in the month of Ramadan. Now that's number two. Number three, one of the things we have to observe in the month of Muharram, also when Muharram comes, is to make sure that Muharram is the month to always keep Imam Hussein in mind. The way that in Ramadan we keep Allah in mind, in Muharram you are encouraged to remember Hussein all the time. And Imam Hussein said in one of his says, he says, Shi'ati ma in sharibtum ma an adban fadhkuruni. Allahu Akbar. He said, my Shia, my followers, anytime, especially in Muharram and Safar, when you drink delicious water, he said, remember your Imam. Allahu Akbar. The month of Muharram is the month to remember Imam Hussein all the time. If you don't remember him in other month, at least make sure that in the Muharram and Safar is the time you remember Imam Hussein in every level of your life. In other words, dedicate Muharram and Safar for just Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That is one of the way we have to receive this month of Muharram. That is number three. Number four, in the month of Muharram is the month that we have to do a lot of things in the name of Imam Hussein. See, in the month of Ramadan, what do? A lot of us, we do iftar. For giving what? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Now, in the month of Muharram is also encouraged to do what? To give food for people who come to do azah for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And if you cannot provide something for azadar of Imam Hussein, at least be in the servant of the azadar of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Let me share with you a story that one of our scholars mentioned, and it happened in Karbala. There's a one person who was an Iraqi but didn't believe in azadar, didn't believe about Imam Hussein or anything. He thought it's just a culture. People who come to do azadar, they walking by and he's standing there looking at them, and he will make fun of them. He will look at them and he think they are out of their mind. They say one day he was walking by and he got tired and he was laying down on the street and he saw a dream. The man said, I saw a dream. He said, I saw a dream and I saw myself, I was in the Ardul Mahshar on the day of judgment. And he saw himself, he was brought for accountability. They accounted him and they wanted to take him to hellfire. He said, Allah decided that I have to go to hellfire. He said, as they announced that I'm going to hellfire, then he saw a lady came, and you know that lady, Az-Zahra alayha salam. She came and she said, Ya Rab, this man cannot be taken to the hellfire for one reason. What is it? He said, because the day he was laying on the street, the dust of Zuwar al-Hussein touched him. Allahu Akbar. The dust of Zuwar who were going back and forth, some of them fell on him. So he cannot take that to the hellfire, Ya Rabbal Alameen. So Ya Allah, we need shafa'ah for him just for the sake of that dust that carries him. The man said, I woke up and I saw myself, and he became the best azadar of Imam Hussein and died as one of the best azadar of Imam Hussein. And this is to let us understand the significance of doing or serving or doing khidmah for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That is one. So in the month of Muharram, we have to keep in mind, brothers and sisters, there is the month to do azah and serve Imam Hussein alayhi salam in any capacity that you can. If I cannot serve Imam Hussein alayhi salam with my money, I can serve him with my voice. I can't serve him with my voice, I can serve him with my writing. If I can't serve him with my writing, I should serve him with my strength and my body that Allah has given to me. That is one of the things one have to prepare themselves for azadar of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That is number 4. Number 5, one of the things we can do to receive the holy month of Muharram is to always understand that before I leave to go, or before Muharram comes, I have to purify my intention. Let every azadar that you go, or ma'tam or majlis, let it be solely for the sake of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. That is very important, brothers. Don't go to majlis because people are going. No, don't go because if I don't go, they will not call me a true Shia. Don't say if I don't go, they will call me names. No. Go because you know it is your responsibility to go. Go because it is your duty as the follower of Ahlul Bayt to go. And make sure that your niyyah is to please Imam Hussein and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what counts, brothers and sisters. That is what counts. That is what gives a value to your azah and to your majlis. That is what is important. Because that is important. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. If the action doesn't carry a pure niyyah, that action doesn't have any value in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is one important message, brothers and sisters. Another important thing we have to know, that every single Muharram that comes, you have to know that you are going to renew your allegiance to your Imam. Every Muharram is a time that you set another resolution with your Imam. Because you have to understand, brothers and sisters, every Muharram is not the same as the last year Muharram. I might be a Shia last year, but I might do something that they disqualify me. But I don't know. So when the year comes, it's the time to renew my allegiance, my pledge to my Imam, to make sure that, Ya Imam, I'm now pledging another year to be the true servant and the true follower of yours, Ya Aba Abdullah. That is very important. Before the Muharram comes, let us renew our allegiance. And we read that in Ziyarah, that every year, in لم يستجبك بدني حين استغاثتك. If I wasn't there to respond your call, in that year when you call, هل من ناصر ينصرنا? I say, I am here to respond the call today. Meaning, I'm now renewing my allegiance to you, Ya Aba Abdullah. So we have to understand that every year and every majlis I attend is a renewal of my pledge to my Imam, that I wasn't there when you call, but now I'm here to say Labbaika Ya Hussein. And I'm here to be with you and support you in any capacity that I can. That is one important thing. Because remember, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, what he needed and he was asking for us on that day might not be physical, but he needed your support in every field that you can. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, when he stood there and he was looking at all those people and those enemies who came to fight him, and he looks at them, and the narration stated, فَإِذَا هُمْ كَالسَّيْلِ. Allahu Akbar. When the narration described the enemies, they say they are like ocean of people. Some narrations say no, كَالْجَرَادِ الْمُنْتَشِرِ. It's like scarlet bugs when you look at them. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at them and he said to them, Ya ma'shar al-nas, la tuqdimu hatta a'idhakum. He said, don't even step 1 foot forward until I tell you your right upon me as an Imam. Allahu Akbar. And he looked at them and he said to them, Unzuru sharqan wa gharban. Look at the east and west. Hal tarawna ibnu binti nabiyyin ghayr. Is there any grandson of the Prophet beside me? Look, all across the world. If you can find someone who is the grandson of the Prophet beside me, he said, bring them. They're looking at Imam Hussein. They couldn't respond. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, if you said I'm not the grandson, but haven't you heard the Prophet said about me, Al-Hasan wal-Hussein, Sayyida Shabab Ahl al-Jannah? Didn't you hear the Prophet says, me and my brother, we are the masters of the youth of the heaven? And he said, if you say you didn't hear, he said, ask certain people who were there. Is'alu Malik ibn Anas. Is'aluhum, ask them, they will tell you. Allahu Akbar. But these people wouldn't listen. Then your Imam started crying, looking at them. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was looking at them and he was crying. And they asked Imam Hussein, why are you crying? He said, Abki alan unasin yadkhuluna an-nara bisababi. Allahu Akbar. Wallah, I haven't seen the most merciful Imam like Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He said, I'm crying not because of myself. I'm not crying because of my family. He said, I'm crying for my enemies. Because they are going to end up in the hellfire because of me. And I'm trying to save them from going to hellfire. Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussein alayhi salam wants to give them the benefit of doubt, to listen, to at least get the message. They wouldn't want to listen. Umar bin Sa'ad then said, Duqqut tubul, beat the drum so we don't hear what Imam Hussein wants to say. Then Imam Hussein looked at them and he said, Wallaha a'lam lima la tusghun. I know why you're not listening. Innama muli'at butunukum min al-haram. Because your stomach are filled with haram. So you cannot hear the words of wisdom from Imam. Allahu Akbar. Then Imam turned and told his companion, he said, listen, do not step forward towards them unless they come forward to us. And don't fight them unless they start. And if they start, don't fight them until they kill one of us. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Look at the teachers of Islam from Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that do not fight them unless they fight. And even if they fight, don't start until they start. Even they start, don't even revenge until they kill one of us. Allahu Akbar. You know, at that moment, one of the great men, he realized the situation, who was in the other side. Then he's called Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi. When he realized that these people are really want to fight Imam Hussein, that is when he went to Umar bin Sa'ad. And he asked him, Ya Umar bin Sa'ad, Hal anta qatil al-rajul? Are you really want to fight Imam Hussein? Then Umar bin Sa'ad said, Bala. Yes, we are going to fight him. Not only are we going to fight him, قتال الأبطال أيسرها تطير فيها الرؤوس. It's a fight that the heads will be flying in this battlefield. That's the fight that we are going to do. Allahu Akbar. And Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi was listening, and this word, it looks like it struck him to the heart, and he started shivering. Then Umar bin Sa'ad asked him, Ya Hurr, mimma khawfak, why are you scared of? You are a brave man. Allahu Akbar. Then Hurr said, I'm not afraid of fight or death, but I've been put in the position of choosing Jannah and Nar. Inni khuyyirtu bayna al-jannati wan-nar. You are giving me a choice whether I want to go to heaven or I want to go to hellfire. And I have to make that decision right now. And he said, فَوَاللَّهِ لَا أَخْتَارُ عَلَى الْجَنَّةِ شَيْئًا. I just made my decision. I will not choose anything above heaven. What do you mean? He said, I need to go to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi held his sword up. As he go to Imam Hussein, he turned the sword down. Because among the Arabs, the sword up means fight, and the down means peace. He struck his horse, and the horse took him towards Imam Hussein alayhi salam. As he got to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he said, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Wa alayka salam ya Hurr. He said, Ma tahtaj, what do you want ya Hurr? He said, Ya Aba Abdullah, hal tara li min tawbah? Do you see that I can be forgiven with all that I did? I brought you all the way here. I'm the one who turned your journey. You were going to Kufa, but I turned you against your will to come to Karbala. I'm the one who stopped the water away from you. I'm the one who gave you a hard time, Ya Aba Abdullah. But now I realize my mistake. Can I be forgiven? Allahu Akbar. Allah, Imam Hussein didn't even think twice. He said, In tubta tab Allahu alayk. Come in, Ya Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi. Allahu Akbar. Brothers and sisters, I want to take this opportunity to remind myself that let us learn from Imam Hussein and forgive each other in the month of Muharram. Because that is the legacy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That he forgave his enemy, Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi. With all what he did, he came and asked him, he said, I forgive you. Allahu Akbar. And then Hurr said, Ya Aba Abdullah, it's not done yet. I still have one request to request you. What is it? I said, I want to be the first one to die in this battle. So why, Ya Hurr? I said, because I would not forgive myself to see anybody dying before me when I'm the one who brought you to this station. Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, no problem, I give you that. Imam Hussein told him, Ya Hurr, come down, because he was on his horse. I said, Ya Aba Abdullah, I would love to come down, but I do better on the horse than to fight on the floor. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, I give you that. I said, I want to be the first one. But then he says, but not only that, I want my son to be the first one to be killed before me too. Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussein asked him, why, Ya Hurr? He said, because I don't want him to see me being killed, and maybe that will put a fear in his heart, and he will draw back from you and your support. Allahu Akbar. What a brave man Imam Hussein had. What example these people left for us. He said, I want to see my child is being killed and fighting for Imam Hussein and dying for Imam Hussein, but not me being killed, because when he see my blood, maybe he might change his mind. Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, I gave you that. So the son of Imam Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi was the first one who went to the battlefield and got killed. And then Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi followed after that. And after that, before he left, Allahu Akbar, he went to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And he asked him permission. And Imam granted him permission. And Allahu Akbar, brothers and sisters, that is one of the Ahlul Bayt teachings that we need to learn of adab. Even before to go to the battlefield, every companion of Imam Hussein, they have to ask permission. Allahu Akbar. And that is one of adab with the ma'soom of the time. And you can learn that from Hadith al-Kisa. Right? Hadith al-Kisa, every one of the ma'soom, before they come under the cloth, they say, Ata'adhanu li. I need a permission to enter in there. Jabrail was asking permission to enter under the Kisa. Also the same thing, all the companions of Imam, they all ask permission. Imam Hussein said to the Hurr, I gave you permission. Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi went to the battlefield. As he was fighting the man, the narration says he fought as a brave man until the enemy surrounded him. Allahu Akbar. And they started attacking Hurr from every angle. And Hurr ibn Yazid al-Rayahi continued to fight until Hurr fell off his horse. And as he was falling on his horse, he was saying salam to his master Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He said, Assalamu alayka ya Mawlai. Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah. Assalamu alayka ya Mawlaya wa ibn Mawla. Peace be upon you, my master, and the son of my master. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, anybody he hears his call, he rushed to the aid. He rushed to the Hurr. When he got to the Hurr, Hurr was looking at him, and he was looking at Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And you can tell from that look that he's telling him, am I been forgiven? And Imam Hussein looking at him, telling him, you are forgiven in my sight, and from Allah, and the Prophet, and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Imam Hussein was holding him. As he was in the hand of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he had his last breath. After he passed away, Imam Hussein looked at him and he said to him, Ya Hurr, wallahi ma akhta'at ummuk idh sammaktka hurra. Anta hurrun fi dunya wal akhirah. He said, wallahi, your mother didn't make a mistake when she called you Hurr. Al-Hurr means a free man. You are free in your thinking. You were not enslaved by Bani Umayyah as the others were. He said you were free in your mind and you are free in your decision as well. And then he said, Wallahi man zarani. Imam Hussein said about Hurr, Man zarani wa lam yazurka faqad jafani. Whoever visit me and didn't visit you, Hurr, he says like he didn't visit me, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Allahu Akbar. That is Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and all his family, all the companions were killed until the little baby Abdullah Radi' or Ali al-Asghar. Allahu Akbar. That little child, this tells you that Bani Umayyah, they didn't even have any sympathy with the children. And wallahi al-azim, anytime I drive and I see a car put a sign, a baby on board, I remember Ali al-Asghar. Anytime I see this sign, baby on board, I remember Ali al-Asghar. I say, you people in America, you always remember a child and you put this sign that drive carefully because there is a baby in this car. But remember Ahlul Bayt, they have a child who is known as Ali al-Asghar. He was there and they didn't even honor that he was child on that day. He was in the hand of his father when the arrow came and slaughtered him from one jugular vein to another. When Imam Hussein was holding him, before he realized, he saw Ali al-Asghar was moving in his hand. He looked and there was a blood gushing. He put his hand under the neck of this child and he saw his hand was filled with the blood. He threw it in the sky and none of the blood came down. He looked and put his hand the second time, and then he wiped on the face of this infant. And he says, هَكَذَا أُرِيدُ أَن تَلْقَى جَدَّكَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. This is how I want you to meet your grandfather Rasulullah, with your blood being faced with your face, so that you can tell your grandfather what these people have done to you. Allahu Akbar. He returned with this infant to the mother, and she was hoping the child has been given water, and she said, هل سقيت ابني ماء ورجعته ببقيته? I said, did you give my son a water and brought me some of it? Imam Hussein looked at her and he said, خذي ولدك مذبوحا. Take your son who has been slaughtered from one jugular to other. Allahu Akbar. خذي ولدك مذبوحا من الوريد إلى الوريد. Take your son who has been slaughtered from one jugular to another. His mother picked him up and she cried and she said, Allah, I wish I knew you will be shaheed. I will prepare you better for day like today. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.
Hussein, 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 Hussein. चले रन को आगोश ज़ैनब के पाले, चले रन अब करीब चले रन को आगोश ज़ैनब के पाले, चले चले रन को आगोश ज़ैनब के पाले, चले रन को किए हैं हरम अपने दिल को संभाले, चले रन को चले रन को अली के नवासे हैं औनो मोहम्मद, अली के नवासे हैं औनो मोहम्मद, अली के नवासे हैं औनो मोहम्मद, अली के नवासे हैं औनो मोहम्मद। सिपाहे हुसैनी के हैं ये जियाले, चले आगोशे चले रन को आगोश वेगा इनसे करना कुछ आसान नहीं है, वेगा इनसे करना कुछ आसान नहीं है, कोई पहले इनसे कदम ही मिला ले, चले रन को आगोश चले रन को तसद्दुक़ किए मैंने औनो मोहम्मद, तसद्दुक़ किए मैंने औनो मोहम्मद, तसद्दुक़ किए मैंने औनो मोहम्मद, तसद्दुक़ किए मैंने औनो मोहम्मद। मेरे भाई को अब तू खालिक बचा ले, चले रन को आगोश चले रन को आगोश ज़ैनब के पाले, हुसैन 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 and youth irtizaz.
We are the Shia of Ali, we're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali, we're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. Shabbar and Shabbir will never forget. Shabbar and Shabbir will never forget. They sacrificed their lives, what a debt they made. From now until Judgment Day, we will always proclaim and say, we are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. In the love of Ahlul Bayt, we will enter heaven's gate. In the love of Ahlul Bayt, we will enter heaven's gate. Call life and proclaim, Ya Hassan, Ya Hussein. Zahra will accept our tears and remove from us all our fears. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. Ahlul Bayt we love for our lives and above. Ahlul Bayt we love for our lives and above. We'll never leave you no matter what the enemy do. You can kill us, you can shoot us, you can tear us apart, but our voice will always come from our heart. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. How Hur did regret what he done, what he said. How Hur did regret what he done, what he said. Crawled to Hussein, so we inflicted pain. In the morning when he faced the army of Shimmer, he shouted and his voice didn't quiver. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. Labbaik ya Allah, the crying Karbala. Labbaik ya Allah, the crying Karbala. Of the doves, the lights and flowers of Zahra. Of the doves, the lights and flowers of Zahra. As the heads carried off on spears, the women cried out in the tears. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. We are the Shia of Ali. We're the followers of An-Nabi. Hussein, Hussein, Hussein.